Why does everything these days have to have a beat to it like That's not the right video.
That isn't the right video?
No, the
Shit.
ballet.
Oh, the ballot. God damn it. 1 second.
We're off to a great start.
Oh, to a great start already. I thought you said to play that one and then you go into the intro about what this video was.
No, I had scrolled up to the top. I said to play the last one I added. I said play it before the picture of the tank.
I'm gonna have to load all these separately because this one.
No, I'm on the wrong thing. Yes.
Okay, we can't play this the whole time because, you know.
Yeah. I figure we could, play it for 30, 45 seconds and then that's probably good. So hello everyone and welcome to NASA Bunker 33. I'm your host, Quiddy's a Sprinkler, and with me as always is what the fuck is your name now? Tomatokin.
No, it's still swimming. It's still swimming. I just did that as
a
joke.
How are you doing?
I am.
And you're not muted, right?
No, I'm not. I shouldn't be muted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not muted.
Okay.
Hey,
just making sure.
Hey, Mark Beiser in the chat.
Hey. All right. So there is a reason that I wanted to play Swan Lake Ballet tonight. Sadly, it isn't the reason that I wanted to. But on October 13th, 1991, people all over Russia woke up, fixed their pots of, I don't know, coffee or whatever the fuck they drink in Russia, turned on their TVs to watch their morning propaganda shows, and instead, all they got was that broadcast of Swan Lake. And that's because the Soviet Union had collapsed.
Yep.
And so all the TV networks across Russia went dark and just played Swan Lake. And what? We're like almost 36 hours into what was originally thought as the collapse of Russia, Russian Federation, volume 17 or something right now. Like, how many times has Russia collapsed?
Yeah.
But there is a sad ending to the story that we will get to. So I wanted to do just a quick recap of what has gone on in the last 36 or so hours or whatever about this. And then we'll go into Zumi's got us a pretty interesting conspiracy to look at after. So it's a two-part show tonight. We're not going to run too long. I've got
Uh,
about maybe 30 minutes of material with this. Uh, Starting several months ago, the head of Wagner PMC, Wagner.
Wagner.
It's spelled Wagner, and so my brain always thinks Wagner, but it's pronounced Wagner. The head of Wagner PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin, started saying things that are illegal to say in Russia, like, uh, the war is not going the way it's supposed to be going, and we're not getting the ammunition that we're supposed to be getting. Terrible, horrible things like that. Because, yes, those things are illegal to say in Russia. If it's not Kremlin approved talking points, you can't say it in Russia anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, so, he kind of caught the attention of everyone because basically since the beginning of the war, Russia had taken a chunk of Ukraine, and then sometime last spring, the only forces that were still able to gain any land in Ukraine was Wagner PMC. Uh, they're the ones that attacked Severodonetsk and Lysychansk last spring and early summer. They're the ones that spent 10 months to take one city called Bakhmut, uh, that they didn't completely take. But the Russian army couldn't do anything, but these guys could, apparently. So, they were big shots in Russia, and still their leader, Prigozhin, kept saying a lot of disparaging remarks, we'll put it that way, uh, about the Ministry of Defense and the Kremlin and things like that. And then shit hit the fan, so to speak. And uh, yesterday, on one of the Wagner Telegram channels, they posted a video saying that the Russian army had shelled their uh, base in the Donbass. And they showed a video which was obviously fake, by the way, with human body parts lying everywhere and fires that were obviously lit like in little cans and set on the ground to make it look like burning stuff. And it just looked terrible. But then they said, that's it. Screw it. We're, starting a revolution. We're going to go to Moscow and we're going to kill the Minister of Defense of Russia. And everyone was like, hey, that's a great idea. We haven't seen Russia collapse in 30 years. This should be fun. So they moved to Rostov, because everyone knows that if you want to go to Moscow, the first thing you do is go to a city that's nowhere near Moscow. But it turns out, I understand now, that Rostov is the main supply hub. Every Russian soldier that goes to Ukraine goes through Rostov. Every piece of ammunition, every piece of equipment that goes to Ukraine goes through Rostov. So seizing Rostov was actually a pretty smart idea, because the Russian army cannot function without the city of Rostov. And go ahead and put up that the picture, the one after the honey wake up meme. Go ahead and put that picture up on the screen.
Okay, let's see now. Oh, there we go. Opened in the
And
wrong
Mark
window.
Geyser, you are 134% correct there. I have a feeling that a lot of people in Russia are going to, and I'm doing air quotes as hard as I can right now, accidentally fall out of windows.
Yeah,
Uh,
accidentally. Yeah,
yeah,
accidentally.
but but as soon as all this kicked off, this was the first thing I thought of. This image right here was the first thing that I thought of. Uh, this happened in October of 1993 when another coup happened and they set the Russian White House on fire. And so, as soon as this kicked off, all I could think about was, come on, please burn down the White House again. Please burn down the White House again. Please destroy the Kremlin, burn the White House down. As far as I'm concerned, just level Moscow, just turn it back into the swamp that it grew out of.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, let's see, where are we going? I have to keep clicking over between screens. I'm on my laptop, so
Oh, okay.
uh,
Yep.
I can't put everything side by side. Uh, so yeah, there's only one problem. I was totally for, you know, Putin, Shoigu, Gerasimov, all of those, Dmitry Medvedev, uh, Peskov, Lavrov, every one of those. I wanted to watch them dance the gallows jig on Red Square. But
But
go ahead and put up the next picture of the bald man.
yeah, him.
Yeah.
He's a friendly
Uh,
sword, isn't he?
yeah, he looks very friendly. This is the founder of Wagner PMC. This is Ulrich or Udich or
Ulrich. Ulrich.
something like that.
Ulrich.
Yeah,
That's how you pronounce it.
he's a literal Nazi.
Yeah.
Those are SS tattoos on his collar, and that's a Nazi war eagle holding a swastika over his heart.
Yeah.
He is an actual Nazi. One of the reasons that Russia said that they invaded Ukraine was to denazify Ukraine. But I've come to understand that they didn't want to actually get rid of the Nazis. They just wanted to take them. Russia loves Nazis. They just wanted them all for themselves.
Yeah.
So that's what this whole war is about. I've come to figure out. They just wanted to steal any Nazis they could find in Ukraine and bring them back to Russia. To do big spoon, little spoon with. Maybe play some tummy sticks. Uh, but yeah, so literally the craziest shit ever. We're pulling for literal Nazis to take over the largest country in the world, which is, it's a little bit weird. But I was
He
pulling
won't.
for all of them to just kill each other, and then we'd all
Well,
be happy and hold hands and sing kumbaya.
which would you
Uh,
rather have, a total totalitarian state, or a total totalitarian state? Okay. Which would you rather
you
have?
forgot one part there. Uh, would you rather have a totalitarian, authoritarian state that has the most nukes in the world, or would you rather have a totalitarian, authoritarian state with the most nukes in the world?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Choose wisely, young
it's
Padawan.
it's. Do you want a Nazi or a Soviet? Nazi, Soviet.
We're under attack by commie Nazis.
Coming Nazis. Oh God.
Uh,
But that's
Good old
literally
McVeigh.
That's literally what it is. It's Nazi versus communist again, and they're not even communists. Soviet
Yeah, they're not communists.
communists.
They are Nazis.
Yeah,
I mean, the closest thing in the world right now to Nazi Germany is the Russian government.
yeah. And Soviets. Okay, I have to stress this too a lot. Soviet Russia was not communist. They've never
No.
they never were communist. They liked some communist ideals, but they never reached the point where they depose the leaders and they
Yeah.
slipped into the authoritarian state.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it started out as socialism and then they started to adopt some ideas of communism. But the problem is every single time that any country has tried to adopt communism, all it's turned into is an authoritarian seizes power and
Yep.
it turns into a genocide
Yeah, pretty
every
much.
single time.
Yeah, that's we can never have true communism because some asshole always seizes power.
Yeah. And then commits genocide.
And they commit genocide, yeah, on its people, yeah.
I mean, how many Russians did Stalin kill?
Oh God, I
And,
think it was
not just Russians, but the Soviet socialist states as well. I mean, Germany killed what 21 million Soviets in World War II,
it was
and
about 40 million. It was about 40 million.
yeah, Stalin was like, "Hold my fucking beer,"
Yeah.
and then killed that many again.
It
So
was around
yeah,
about 20 million
yeah.
both times.
Russia's always been a shithole,
Yeah.
is what we're trying to get here,
Yeah. Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Russia's
and it will
yeah.
continue to be a shithole regardless of who's running the show.
Yep.
Well, anyway, so back to the story. You can go ahead and pull this video up, but don't start it yet. Uh, back to the story. So these guys seize Rostov, and they're like, "Well, I guess we should probably go to Moscow now." Considering we're 800 kilometers away from where we said we were going. And our favorite TikTok brigade, the Chechens, the
Oh God.
Kadyrovites,
The TikTok.
come out of left field and are like, you know what? We're going to stop these guys. There's literally no one in Russia to stop them. Russia is literally just parking trucks on highways to block them at this point because 800 kilometers of their country is nothing but a road to Moscow with nothing and no one to stop them
Yep.
because their entire army is in a different country fighting a stupid war.
Yeah.
So here comes the Chechens, here comes the Kadyrovites, come flying in gung ho and ready to fight, and they get stuck in traffic. And play the video.
This one?
I'm on the wrong tab again. No, the video after the bald guy.
The video after the bald guy. Okay, that
Yeah,
would be
we're going in order.
I'm gonna try doing this right here. Copy link. Paste and go. See if it works. No, it just downloads it.
No.
It just downloads it. But I can do this. There.
Okay. So this is a bunch of Chechens stuck in traffic for 3 hours. 87 kilometers from Rostov, just sitting there stuck in traffic for 3 hours. And yeah, so that's how war goes when you invade Russia. And when Russia's collapsing, you just get stuck in traffic.
Yeah, that's just this how war goes. You just get stuck in traffic and you can't go do war because cars.
Yeah. Meanwhile, someone finally woke up Putin 15 hours into the invasion of Russia, 15 hours into the collapse of Russia. Someone finally is like, hey, should we maybe wake up Putin and see what he wants to do? And so they wake up Putin and they're like, hey, man, they're coming for you. And so the very first thing Putin does is jumps on his private plane and runs the fuck away.
Little bitch.
And his plane was spotted headed east as fast as it could go. And he flew about halfway across Russia.
Damn.
He got the hell out of Dodge. Meanwhile, over in Belarus, the potato Fuhrer, Lukashenko, heard the same thing. And we don't know if he actually ran. I thought at first that he ran, but reports say that he sent his family away, but he stayed. So I don't know. But yeah, his private plane took off and got the hell out of Dodge also. Because the only thing keeping Lukashenko in power is Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
And if Putin's running away, Lukashenko's next.
Yeah.
So go ahead and put up that next picture of Putin and Lukashenko running away. This was an actual image of them getting the fuck out of Dodge. They got the hell out of there as quick as possible. Lukashenko looks happy. He's
Yeah.
not a very bright guy, and he looks like he's having the time of his life there. Putin looks a little shady. He's kind of looking back over his shoulder, looking to see if the mentally ill guy that he gave an army to is going to come kill him or not. Sorry, the mentally ill prisoner that he gave an army to. He's checking back to see if they're going to kill him or not. So, yeah, Putin ran away, and Lukashenko at least sent his family away, possibly ran away as well. And let's see what's next. Then, next video on the list.
I'll just download it. Fuck it. There we go.
Yeah, probably easiest. Several regions in Russia, all of a sudden these signs start appearing, and this sign says Dagestan without Russia. For those of you who don't know, Dagestan is part of Russia, but not because Dagestan wants to be part of Russia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all over the not really Russian parts of Russia, which is, basically everywhere except Moscow and St. Petersburg. All of those places kind of were like, hey, we're not going to be Russia anymore. And they got super stoked, and I'm super stoked for them. Because anytime you cannot be Russia is a good day. So a lot of things like that started happening, and everyone got super excited. Russia's about to collapse. And the next video, dude holding a gun.
Okay, that one. Download. Hit open.
When the Belarusians found out
Сприяльні
that
умови для знищення диктатури.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the leader of the oh crap. I suck at reading Polish and Belarusian. So I'm not even going to say the name of the brigade, but they're a Belarusian brigade that's fighting in Ukraine right now, that's against Lukashenko, and they want to get him out of there and get the opposition leader, Svetlana, and I'm not going to attempt her name, who is the rightful president of Belarus. She was elected, but then Lukashenko was like, nah, I'm president. They want to get her in power and, kick out all the communazis in Belarus. So this announcement came, and now you can play it.
Спрыяльныя ўмовы для знішчэння дыктатуры імкліва набліжаюцца. Гэта пачатак канца вялікай тыраніі. Я звяртаюся да ўсіх беларускіх вайскоўцаў. Не ўдзельнічайце ва ўнутраным канфлікце Расіі. Гэта грамадзянская вайна нас не тычыцца. Для беларусаў важна другое. Набліжаецца час, калі перад вамі паўстане выбар. Выканаць злачынны загад ці прысягу, якую вы далі на вернасць беларускаму народу. Мы маем на тэрыторыі Беларусі вялізны рэзерв, які ўключае дзейных вайскоўцаў, вайскоўцаў запасу і простых грамадзян, якія гатовы дзейнічаць і вызваляць Беларусь ад дыктатуры і акупацыі. Нам будуць патрэбныя людзі для рашучых дзеянняў. Рыхтуйцеся для ўступу да атрадаў самаабароны. Кожны горад, кожны квартал, кожная вуліца, будьце гатовыя для кантролю сваёй тэрыторыі і падтрымцы парадку. Вайскоўцы, рэзервісты, беларусы, чакайце нашага сігналу. Час свабоды набліжаецца.
The time of freedom is approaching. And so suddenly everyone's stoked. Like, we're not going to have Russia anymore. The Belarusians are going to be Belarusians again. And the not really Russian part of Russia is not going to be Russia again, finally. And everyone's so excited. And this convoy only has 200 kilometers to go until they reach Moscow, and either shit hits the fan and Moscow burns to the ground, or nothing happens and they take power and, Putin stays away in exile, and they find whoever they can and hang them in Red Square, and, everyone dances around and sings Kumbaya. The Russian army leaves Ukraine. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Dave's your cousin, and everyone's happy again. But Russia wasn't quite ready. They decided they wanted to strike back. So go ahead and get the next video ready. But Russia being Russia, Russia is not good at a lot of things. And fighting is one of them. And using planes to bomb things is another one of those. And so instead of bombing the convoy that's coming to take over their capital, they just blew up random civilians driving down the road.
Great.
So,
really helpful. Really fucking helpful.
Finally, for the first time, instead of Russians killing Ukrainian civilians in Ukraine, Russians were finally killing Russian citizens in Russia, the way it ought to be. And everyone was happy.
And everyone claps.
And go ahead and get the next video ready. And Russia kept trying to attack.
Oh, go ahead.
Это 28-й все-таки?
Go ahead. Russia kept trying to attack. Wagner kept fighting back by firing surface-to-air missiles at helicopters.
Let me see where the volume at on this thing. I need to turn it down. I'll move it to my monitor, other monitor, so I can see it better.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, so that was Wagner firing a surface-to-air missile at Ka-52 helicopter. The problem is that surface-to-air missile was made in Russia.
Russia doesn't make the best things. Therefore,
Therefore, when they fired it at the helicopter, it, didn't hit the helicopter. These things happen when they're made in Russia. Because Russia sucks.
Russia fucking sucks. Just gonna say it. Just saying it just out loud that Russia sucks.
Yeah, Russia just fucking sucks. So go ahead and prep the next video when you're ready. And we've got a twofer here. We won't play them at the same time.
Перед Чепуринским районом, короче, все.
The only way for Russia to
Нам больше не
stop
проехать.
these guys at this point was to just destroy the roads.
Mark.
Just dig up the roads. You know, dig a huge trench across the road. There's a convoy headed to Moscow. The only way to stop it is to not let it use the road, I guess.
No, seriously, what was their idea? That what did they think was going to happen?
Truck can't cross ditch. That was it.
Truck can't cross ditch.
Truck no drive over ditch. So all the roads leading into Moscow, suddenly tractors came out and just, dug a trench across them.
Oh, go ahead, pause it.
They literally couldn't stop these guys. Yeah, I wasn't quite ready for you to play this one, but so anywho, Wagner gets, well, they sent a small group to Moscow earlier, but nothing really ever came of that. But the main Wagner convoy, which was about 50 kilometers of military vehicles, making its way up through Russia. They get a couple hundred kilometers from Moscow, and then Prigozhin suddenly announces, I'm calling it off. I talked to Lukashenko, and he invited me to his house. So you guys go home. I'm going to go to Belarus and hang out with Lukashenko. Maybe he'll feed me carrots. That's a Steven Seagal joke, by the way. There's this hilarious gif of Steven Seagal standing there, and Lukashenko just hands him a carrot, and he just starts chomping down on it. So Prigozhin decides he's just going to go to Belarus and eat carrots, and his guys can fuck off. They just mutinied a country, and everything's cool. You guys just head back home. There's not going to be mass executions or anything, I'm sure. That never happens in Russia.
Never. Never.
It only happens to Russians in Ukraine for things like running away from the front line when Ukraine breaks through it, or because they felt like it,
or hastily discarding cigarette butts.
Yeah, things like that. Those are mass execution worthy to Russia, apparently. So yeah, but hey, invading the country with means of going to the capital and pulling out the Minister of Defense and killing him, that's cool. Don't worry about it. And shooting down a spy plane and a couple helicopters and killing 12 aviators in the process. No, that's cool. Don't worry about it. You're not going to get mass executed for that.
No.
Promise.
No, we promise. Totally not going to get mass executed for that.
So Prigozhin heads to Belarus, and now you can play this video. Suddenly, more tractors had to come out and fill in the damn ditches that they just dug. So that's what this guy's doing. He's trying to put the ditch back.
God
No
damn, what's that?
invasion today. I guess we'll just have to scoop the dirt back into the road so people can drive down it again.
Okay. Can they make
Just
up their
normal
minds?
Russia things,
They can't make up their minds.
Yeah. So, winners and losers of this. This is what it was all leading to. Who's the winner and who's the loser? So this really, really exposed the fact that the emperor wears no clothes. That anyone with weapons can walk into Russia and there's nothing that Russia can do to stop them right now. Because the entire Russian army is in a different country.
Yeah.
The only thing left are policemen and some extremely lightly armored National Guardsmen. The National Guardsmen basically had like light armored vehicles, like the stuff that you see like SWAT police in the United States with. That was the heaviest equipment that was left in Russia. So Wagner trounced in with air defenses and tanks and armored vehicles and, all of that. And there was nothing that anyone could do to stop them. So the emperor is pretty damn naked at this point. Putin was thoroughly embarrassed. This was Putin's worst day in his 23 years as the president of Russia. Term limits be damned, because it's
Putin. Well, because you might want to check your tea if you're going up against Putin whenever you're running for public office.
They do like to serve tea with a little bit of polonium in it.
Yeah. Just the thing you do.
Yeah, it's like a sign of friendship. Here in the South, we offer you sweet tea. In Russia, they offer you polonium tea. So, but at the same time, it showed that Prigozhin is willing to sell out the 25,000 soldiers under his command for who knows what, a carrot and a hand job from Lukashenko's daughter, maybe?
Probably, yeah. Sounds about right.
Maybe some cabbage or something. That's all that they have in Belarus is cabbage and carrots.
Oh,
There's
God.
literally nothing else there. So who really knows? There's speculation on what the deal could have been, but no one really knows the details. So anyone that tells you what's in the deal is lying to you. So that's why I'm telling you the only thing that he got is a hand job from Lukashenko's daughter and a carrot and a cabbage.
Mark Pfizer has a point. Traditional defenestration. That's another thing they have there.
Yes, that that is something.
You know what defenestration is, right?
I know the word.
It's the technical term for throwing someone out of a window.
Oh, yes. Yeah. For some reason, I couldn't place what it was, but I knew that I knew the word. Yeah.
And that's another thing they have is traditional defenestration. So, yes.
Yeah. Or, committing committing self-unalivement by 2 bullet wounds in the back of the head.
Yeah, that too.
And then defenestration.
And then different, yeah.
That's something they also do there. Multiple self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the back of the head.
Oh, you just fell down the stairs into 2 bullets. Ended back in the dead.
We don't need to investigate. This is obvious suicide.
Yeah. He just jumped down the flight of stairs. Yeah,
you know, the creator of Tetris. The creator of Tetris was a Russian that committed suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head multiple times.
Yeah, they actually made a movie about that recently.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
Yeah.
So anyway, besides the main characters of today, besides Putin and Prigozhin,
I think
who are the winners and losers? Well, today's real winner is Masha from Voronezh for crying to her mama the very second that she saw war happen. And play the video.
Это пипец. Летит очень низко. Только что был взрыв. Мама! Мама! Неосторожно! Мама!
Oh, God.
And all I have to say to that is, for 9 years, she has cheered for dead Ukrainians.
Yep.
She has begged Russia to fire more missiles at apartment buildings and kill Ukrainian civilians for 9 years. And she can't handle it when finally the thing that her country has reaped, that she has cheered for, suddenly shows up at her doorstep. I have no sympathy for her.
Yep, me neither. Not a single bit.
I kind of wish things had gone a little bit worse for her.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say them on stream, but, you know, a little bit of their own medicine kind of thing. But just seeing her reaction to seeing that. Now, that was a Russian helicopter blowing up a Russian oil depot in Voronezh. Because Wagner had taken over the oil depot. So suddenly they had the gasoline to make it to Moscow. And Russia was like, well, you know, we can't have that. We should probably take that away from them. So yeah, Russia blew up their own oil depot today.
Wow.
But Masha, she's the winner because she got to see war with her own eyes. But who was the loser? Today's loser is Vlad from Moscow, the bomber pilot himself, who flies the state-of-the-art Sukhoi Su-34 frontline fighter bomber, the most advanced Russian warplane ever. This is a precision strike capability platform that apparently completely misses its target when it's trying to bomb it from close range while no one's shooting at it. There are no air defenses trying to fire at it, nothing like that. Basically, like, you know, test range conditions. And it couldn't even hit the bridge it was trying to blow up. Go ahead and play the video.
Wow, they went that far. Damn.
That's not even the bridge anymore. That's the embankment past the bridge. And that's the very edge of the roadside that it hit.
Oh, God.
But Vlad has actually been loser of the day before. A few weeks ago, some more Russians invaded Russia. Less than this time. You can stop this video. They're just speaking Russian gibberish at this point. So, and somehow they're still talking.
The second video was loading.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a little while back, other Russians invaded Russia, and they took over a border checkpoint in Graviron or Graviron, however you say it. It's Russian. Every Russian name is stupid, so it doesn't really matter how you say it. Gravy Town. We'll call it Gravy Town.
Gravy
They
Town.
took
There we go.
over the border checkpoint in Gravy Town, and so here's a couple hundred people that just invaded Russia, and they're chilling at this checkpoint. And this is the YouTube video I'm talking about, so go ahead and get ready to play it.
Okay.
They're chilling in this building. They don't have any air defenses or anything. All that Vlad has to do in his Su-34 is literally point the nose at the building, and when it tells him to press the button, he presses the button and it drops the bomb. Building blows up, and the Russian Defense Forces, or whatever they call themselves, the Freedom of Russian Legion, the Russian Volunteer Corps, there's a bunch of different groups that invaded. They all go boom and go bye-bye, and Vlad becomes the hero of Russia. So what does he do? Let's turn to the tape. Oh, he got close. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Well, here he comes for a second pass. Oh, no. That's like 150 meters out. How about his third pass? He's definitely going to get it on his third pass. I know he will. Come on, Vlad. We're all rooting for... Oh, no.
Nope.
No. Still 50 meters away. There's no one shooting at you, Vlad. You literally have free range. Oh, no. Now he's off by 200 meters.
God damn, they just...
But there is a really, really scared groundhog in that field now.
Yep. One really, really scared groundhog.
That groundhog is not going to fuck with anyone now.
Oops.
So yeah, that was Vlad's first appearance as loser of the day of Russia. Now, next to the last thing that I wanted to talk about, go ahead and play this video. So this is people on the streets of Rostov. Yeah, I thought it was over.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah. So this is people on the streets of Rostov after Prigozhin had already sold out Wagner and gone to get his handy. And these guys were about to retreat back to their bunker or hole in the ground that they crawled out of, whatever the fuck it is. These are Russians cheering. I'm sure you could understand that they kept saying Wagner, Wagner, Wagner. They're cheering for them. They're cheering for literal fucking Nazis that tried to take over their country today.
Yeah.
That's how much that the ordinary Russian despises Putin. And I kind of have to put myself in Russian shoes right now because, as an American, we don't have to deal with the shit that they have to deal with. And I give Russians a lot of shit. I really do. I do not like Russians at all. But I really did have to put myself in their shoes here. this was a tiny glimmer of hope. For the past year, the only thing that they've been fed in public is state-sponsored propaganda about how glorious it is to kill Ukrainians. But at the same time, they've watched their friends, they've watched their family members go off to war and then not come back. Or if they did come back, they're missing fairly important body parts. And they get back and they go crazy and pull out a knife and start cutting people up on a train. I will not share that video, by the way.
Yeah, let's not.
But
I don't think YouTube
that
would like
happened
that.
very recently, and
I don't think YouTube would like that very much.
I've seen a lot of things following this war and doing OSINT. I have seen some pretty messed up things. I have never seen as much blood as I saw on that train.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot. And it was someone who fought in Ukraine and went back to Russia, and they were just so messed up in the head that they thought that random Russian citizens were terrorists and just started slashing people. So these, ordinary Russians have seen a lot. And if they speak out, this is the thing a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people think that every Russian is for Putin and for the war and cheers for dead Ukrainians. But that's not really the case, because if they speak out in public, they can go to jail for 15 years.
Worse than that.
Yeah. There are worse things in Russia than going to jail for 15 years.
Yeah.
Quote unquote self-unalivement by defenestration. I'm going to keep using that word now that you reminded me what it means.
Should I show the tank pic yet?
Almost. We're almost there.
Okay.
So I had to put myself in their shoes. And yeah, finally they have someone who's trying to change things. Even though these are actual literal fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
At least they're trying to change things. And I do not want them to succeed in their mission, because if they do, that means that literal Nazis run Russia and have the largest stock of nuclear weapons in the world.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do want them to succeed, because it means that Putin doesn't run Russia.
Oh,
and Shoigu and Gerasimov and Medvedev and Lavrov and Peskov, and the list goes on and on and on, of all the fucking oligarchs, all the autocratic pieces of shit that all they care about is their own purses and defending their own purses and living as long as they can in the luxury that they have built for themselves, and fuck the other 150 million people in their country. All of those people are their slaves in their minds. Yep. So those are the two choices that Russians are faced with. But at least the Nazis gave them a glimmer of hope. And I think that did more than Wagner actually making it to Moscow could have done.
Yeah. And now more people will start speaking out, and more will unfortunately start getting unalived, but
yeah. And Russia is a lot closer to its collapse than it was even 12 hours ago.
Yep.
When this was going on. Even now that it's over, Russia is still closer to its collapse than it was then. And maybe, just maybe, that collapse will bring someone who's not a literal Nazi into power.
Hopefully.
And the entire world has seen that not only is Russia teetering on the verge of collapse, not only does the emperor wear no clothes, not only is Putin a fucking coward who ran away as soon as they woke him up and said, hey, people are coming and they don't like you. People have seen that he is the biggest pussy on earth.
Yep. And yet QAnon
just lost every bit of power that he has built over the past 23 years. And again, that did more than Wagner making it to Moscow could have done.
And yet QAnon will still support Russia no matter fucking what.
Oh yeah, they will. And the one final thing about that is the final thought on that is now the entire world has seen that there's no way that Russia could ever succeed in Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean,
when their own troops are turning on the Ministry of Defense because they know the truth. They know that there's no way they could ever win there. They know that they're being sent there to the slaughter. They know. Prigozhin said today that they took over the military command for the Southern District in Rostov. And after they did that, Prigozhin apparently saw some things, saw some documents or something. I'm not sure. But he said that things are a lot worse in Ukraine than anyone actually knows about. I mean, apparently someone knows about it because he saw documents. But things are a lot worse there than anyone outside of the select few in the know actually do know. That the losses, the casualties and deaths are 10 times worse than anyone expected, than anyone knew. And Prigozhin was there in Bakhmut. He saw what was going on. He saw 1,200 Russians dying every day. And he's saying that it's 10 times worse. So everyone now knows that Russia is fighting a losing battle. And the only way for them to save themselves is to get the fuck out of Ukraine and stop killing Ukrainians.
Well, hopefully they will. And they'll turn on Putin.
Yeah. And finally, the final picture. Put it up. What did we learn today from all of this? What did we learn from the past 36 hours? Well, I think this picture sums it up better than anything else. A fucked up Russian tank stuck in a circus. That says it all right there.
Let's just admire it for a minute.
Yeah, just enjoy that. A Russian tank stuck in the gates of a circus in Rostov. In Russia. And now for Zumi's half of the show.
Okay, so excuse me. I only have 2 videos right now pulled up. But basically, this all started with the QAnon, again, QAnon.
It always starts with QAnon.
Yeah, it always starts with QAnon, doesn't it? They're more, it's this. I'll play the video first. Just listen to the insanity.
Yeah, I didn't know about this until you said something about it earlier.
Just listen to the insanity that's about to pour from this man's lip.
There is something going on in our schools, according to this. There is something going on in our schools, according to this, something called furry. And I think it's spelled F-U-R-R-Y.
Pause. Pause. That's as far as I can make it. There is something going on in our schools, and it's called furry.
Okay, I'm going to say this. This isn't actually about furries.
God damn it, Mallory.
God damn
Get
it,
out
Mallory.
of our schools.
God damn it, Mallory. Get out of the school. Stop peeing in a litter box in front of all the students.
And that old dude behind him is vaping intensely.
Yeah, he's vaping intensely.
Like, he's freaking me out a little bit. He's intently vaping. All right, you can play it.
Up on Google here. Oh, I gotta get back into my computer. It's described to me that we have kids in our schools that believe that they are animals. And
that's one. That's not what a furry is. That is not what a furry is. They don't believe they're fucking animals, you fucking idiot. It's role play. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Some people...
I mean, what was that one video where that girl said she identified as a... God, what was it? She identified as a cat or something, and she even like walked around on all fours.
Oh, her, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, yes.
Yeah, and it looked insanely awkward, and
yeah.
Like even she knew she's not an animal.
Yeah. It's role play. That's all it is. It's role play. Some people take it a little bit further in the bedroom, but for the most part, it's just fun. That's all it is. It's fun role play.
Yeah.
But
I mean, whatever floats your boat when you're in bed, that's up to you.
Exactly.
I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
That's not my job. That's not his job. That's not anyone's job, except for the person you're in bed with.
Exactly. Now, if they think that's going a little bit too far, then that's, up to you and your partner to discuss. But this man isn't talking about in the bedroom. This is a little bit weirder than that. But
they're identifying, I'm told, as animals. Identifying as animals. They think they're a cat. A cat. They put tails on, and they demand that they have a litter box in the school.
No, they don't. They put a tail on and prance around like they're a cat, playing around for fun.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, you know what I did? I used to take my bath towel and 2 clothespins and pin the corners on my shoulders, and I identified as Superman. I knew that I wasn't,
Mark,
and I didn't require Lois Lane.
Yeah, but Mark Pfizer has great point.
I don't think he understands that nuance of it. Go ahead.
Mark Pfizer has a great point. It kind of reminds him of the silly things they were saying about D&D in the early 80s. It's exactly what it is.
That's satanic panic.
No, it's not. Okay, this is what is called a moral panic. It happened in the 80s.
Well, yeah, that's really what I meant, but
it's a moral panic is what it is. They aren't worried about furries. They're doing this. They're saying all this to try to target the trans community because they can't outright say it, but it's what they're saying. It's the quote-unquote slippery slope fallacy. Oh, if we allow men to identify as women, then what's to stop people from identifying as animals? And then what's to stop them from demanding litter boxes in the classroom? That's exactly what this is. This is all tied to the newest moral panic, the trans panic, or the gay panic, or the black panic, or every other panic we've always had. they always go after a marginalized community because they can't attack a majority.
And
Attacking a
I hate
majority,
telling this, but
yeah.
America, we're not North Korea, we're not Russia, we're not Belarus, we're not Iran, we're not several countries in Africa. He cannot legislate what I like and dislike.
Exactly. You can't legislate someone's sexuality.
Period.
You cannot legislate someone's sexuality. That is literally what we came here to get away from to begin with. That's what the U.S. was built to begin with, to get away from Christianity, to get away from a church-led state. That is literally.
I'm going to have to disagree with that because the Puritans, the word pure is kind of in that title.
Well, they were
and,
well,
yeah, they were so strict on Christian morals that they ran away from the British church to find a place that they could be stricter.
well,
So that's kind of the people that came over here.
well, they were deists. They wanted to get away from the Roman Catholic Church. George Washington and Thomas Paine and all the other people.
They came a little later.
Well, they came a little later,
but,
yeah. The ones who founded the United States, the ones who officially put together Declaration of Independence, which isn't even a legal document, but the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Yeah.
And from what I recall, Thomas Jefferson actually wrote to a city in Danbury, Connecticut. It was it was in this letter that he said that the church has no power over the state, that there will be no state-led churches, because there needs to be a wall of separation between church and state. One of the founding fathers literally said that. That's what we're fighting against now, is them trying to take over the United States again.
Yeah, I forgot the actual reference where it was written, but yeah, it was right
in a letter.
around that time when,
it was in a letter to Danbury. It was in a
Yeah.
letter. It was literally in a letter to Danbury, and it was also in a letter to Morocco, I believe it was. I can't recall right now, but
I don't remember. But Mark Miser's got a point here. Unless she's showing up in a cat bodysuit with a cattail butt plug.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the cat suit is enough. I mean, how many times have you seen intergeneric, fairly attractive female dress as quote unquote sexy cat for Halloween?
Too many times.
And we still let children dress as cats on Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't have a problem with it. But they're not sexually identifying as that cat.
Exactly.
And they're not doing sexual things in the classroom.
Yeah. But
they may be sneaking off under the gym bleachers or something to do it, but
well, let's get back to the
video. This isn't your presentation in front of the class kind of thing that's going on.
No, but they think it is. And let's let him say it.
Has anybody else heard that? Have you heard about this furry thing and what? I mean, your district and mine are a long ways away, but I've talked to others here. Tell us what you know about this. I've got the dictionary. It's in the dictionary on Google, Madam Speaker.
When I heard about this, I heard that they were actually cutting holes in the uniforms for tails. And then in some cases, the students were putting on fake tails. And in some cases, one of the parents was responding to what was happening in the school, where a child that believed themselves to be a cat didn't have a physical tail, but had an imaginary tail. And they were sitting at, I think it was a lunch, the table in the lunchroom, and this imaginary tail was there, and a student came up and sat down, and the child that believed themselves to be a cat screamed. You just sat on my tail. That was imaginary. It didn't exist.
In my district, and I won't even name the school, I will say in my district, I had a pastor come to me and he said,
Yeah, these people are fucking nuts. This, like I said, started with QAnon making up a claim that the teacher put a litter box in front of the class and relieved himself in front of the class. And I'm like, okay, first, give me a county name. Give me a district name.
Yeah.
Give me
Pixar didn't happen, motherfucker.
Give me a name, any name, a name of the city, a name of the school, the name of the teacher, the name of the classroom. What class was he teaching? Like,
yeah.
Can you tell me anything about it?
One thing I'm more concerned about right now, though, is was that tail imaginary or not? He said it was imaginary. Then he said the child was wearing the tail, and then he said it was imaginary again. So which is it?
Yeah, real. Yeah, but yeah, let's.
I mean, he changed the story at least twice in his 30 seconds of telling the story.
Yeah, not even 30 seconds. It was more like 10 seconds, but yeah. Changed it like 3 times. First he said it was imaginary. Then he said it was a real tail.
He said they were wearing it.
Then
and
he
then
said
he
it was
said
imaginary again.
It said on it, and then he said it was imaginary again.
Yeah, like.
told that in the one school district, and I'm not saying this is the case, we don't know, it's unconfirmed, but he is being told.
I have one more thing to add to that. So how is that any different than if I, maybe have my book sitting next to me and someone sits on it and I scream, "Hey, you're sitting on my book."
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Yeah.
I guess not scream, but exclaim, "Hey, you're sitting on my book."
Or say something more.
I was wearing a jacket and I took it off and set it on the seat beside me and someone sat on it.
Yeah, or something
"Hey,
more.
you're sitting on my jacket." How is it any different than that? It's just an article of clothing.
Yeah. And if it's a,
I was expecting him to say they cut a hole in their pants and then a student came by and pulled on it and it came out of their butt. I was expecting the story to go in that direction. I was hoping for it.
No, these are all quote unquote.
But no,
I heard this. I heard
it's just an article of clothing. I don't want someone sitting on my article of clothing.
Yeah. But no, every single one of these is, I heard this, I heard that.
Yeah.
They don't give any names. They don't give any locations. They just say, I heard this from someone else saying it.
That's the hallmarks of a moral outrage. It's not specific cases of things happening. It's
I heard.
There was this one time in band camp when my friend Ralph told me that his cousin knew a guy whose sister went to school with this one dude that, Anywho.
Mark Pizer says, I can't confirm, but I've heard the speaker in the video can only get an erection when his wife shits on his face. Yeah, pretty much. Hey, Becky!
I'm not. If that's something that you enjoy doing,
yeah,
and your wife enjoys doing it, then
more
fucking power to you. I don't think, other than jokes. Now, I have said this before when I saw an extremely attractive woman once. I was joking with a friend. And I said, you know what? I'd let her shit in my mouth just to get a look of where it came from.
Oh God! Wow. Okay then. Oh, Pacty, Pacty just got here because YouTube didn't fucking notify him. So we're gonna have to start all over. We're just gonna have to start over.
All right, back to Swan Lake. Here we go. Let's do it again.
Let's finish this video.
So Facty, to sum up so far, Russia was going to collapse, but then didn't, and we've nothing happened.
And Kids are
But everyone
animals.
did have a good laugh at it.
And kids are pretending to be animals. That's
Yeah. Yeah. And someone sat on a kid's tail and they didn't like that someone sat on their tail.
Yeah.
So they told them not to sit on their tail, and apparently that is an outrage.
Yeah, that's an outrage. That
That
that's
is the
disturbing.
worst thing to ever happen in this country.
The worst. Just the worst.
I mean, just ask George Takei. He's like the arbiter of bad things to happen in the country because he was literally put in a concentration camp as a kid for being Japanese.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, George Takei.
yeah,
Love
the
you.
fact that a kid got mad at another kid for sitting on their tail that was attached to their clothing,
or was imaginary.
Ever happen in this country?
Or was imaginary. We don't know.
Or it was imaginary. You're right. You know, the Trail of Tears had fucking nothing on this.
Oh no, nothing at all. All those smallpox blankets. No, no. Kids dressing up as animals. That's the next big moral outrage.
Yeah, and Mark Beiser says, "Not my thing, but I won't kink shame you for it." Exactly. If that's what you like to do and that's what your partner likes to do, fucking do it and have fucking fun. I've got some weird kinks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to list them off on this show. You can message me in private and I'll tell them to you. But yeah, you know, I have things that I like to do that I know they're not everyone's cup of tea. They're not the kind of thing that the first time you sleep with someone, you're like, hey, you want to do this? You know, you have to wait until at least like the fourth or fifth time. And then you're like, hey, you know, it'd be cool
if you farted on my face.
Yeah. If you if you went to the store and you bought a birthday cake and you put it in a chair and sat on it and then farted a bunch, that would get my rocks off something fierce.
Oh God. But anyway, but this isn't even about sex. That's the weird thing. It's not even about sex. It's just kids being kids. Like,
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's just a kid wearing an article of clothing and getting mad that someone sat on it.
Yeah. Or it was imaginary. It was fucking imaginary.
Well, you know, I can't fault the other kid. If it was imaginary, you can't fault the kid for sitting down.
Yeah.
Literally, there is nothing there. And then the kid is like, hey, you're sitting on my tail. Get up. And they're like, oh, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. And then apparently this is the greatest outrage to ever hit America.
Let's finish this up.
By multiple people that there's a litter box in one of the locker rooms or bathroom. That's my understanding.
No, it isn't.
People were using it or anything. Someone found a litter box in a bathroom.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. Now, I have had a cat before. And my sister currently has a cat. I have a dog, and she's a good girl. She goes and does her dog stuff in the yard. But cats aren't that smart, so you kind of have to give them a place to shit inside. And when I had a cat, the litter box was in the bathroom. And my sister's got a cat, and
well, they aren't talking about
her litter box is in the bathroom.
They're not talking about litter boxes in personal bathrooms at home. They're saying that there are litter boxes in the school.
Yeah,
just out in the open.
Where else would you put them? If you got a litter box, you put it in the bathroom. That's the point I'm getting to.
True, but
so. You know, maybe someone has a seeing eye cat.
A litter box. Yeah, Mark Beiser has a good point. A litter box in the bathroom sounds kind of like a prank on the person pretending to be a cat. I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see it if that was what happened.
But you know what the biggest litter box prank is? When you go to someone's house and you take a shit in their litter box. Because then they wonder how the hell that big ass shit came out of their cat.
God. Well, let's move on to the next video.
That's my second favorite shit-based prank.
I don't want to know the first.
It's something that
I'm pretty sure you
me
do.
Back just a little bit, and I'm a little shocked.
I only do it to people I don't like, but
don't.
I cannot confirm. I may or may not have left an upper decker at someone's house once upon a time.
Oh God.
But that's my favorite.
Well, let's start this video.
How disrespectful do you have to be to do something like that where when they flush their toilet, your poo flushes into their toilet?
Anyway, let's get on to the next video.
Okay. I'm good.
Took me back just a little bit, and I'm a little shocked, I guess is what I would put it.
Wait.
It's called something called furry.
That's the guy that was intently vaping. That's the guy that was in the background of the previous video that was vaping so intently.
Sorry, I think I may. Yeah, I think it is.
It looks just like him. But anyway, yeah, that's...
Yeah, he was intently vaping, focusing on his story and all the minute details of that one time he totally heard a rumor about a kid who did this.
Furries. If you don't know what furries are, it's where school children dress up as animals, cats or dogs.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
I know it. I know it.
You really got it wrong on the second or third word. It's where third and fourth word. It's where school children. That's where you went wrong. If you had left school children out of it, you would be mostly correct. But you added those two words in, and I know why you did it, and I'm going to let you finish. But fuck yourself.
Most furries are adults.
Yeah.
I don't know of any furry children, but I know plenty of furries who are
who the fuck can afford a furry suit until they're out of college and have a job?
I know, right? Those things are fucking expensive. Like $2,000 to $5,000.
Priced those things? Jesus Christ! You got to be a fucking lawyer to afford those things.
$2,000 to $5,000 for a decent one. That's just decent.
I have never priced one. I've just heard someone say they're expensive, so I was like, "Yep, they're expensive."
It's around $2,000 to $5,000 for a decent one.
Yeah.
About a little bit over $5,000 is where you get into the good suits. I don't have a fursuit. I don't own one because I could never afford one.
Well, I'm not a furry. I like casual sex. I like sex when I'm not wearing things. Casual sex. I tried the other. I tried formal sex one time, but the tuxedo is really fucking hot. So casual sex is best. And I like not wearing clothes when I'm doing it.
And Zenith has a point too. A friend of mine just dropped $3,000 on one. Yeah, they're fucking expensive. Yeah. They're fucking expensive. No little school kid is going to have one.
So I just got a good deal on an ATV, on a four-wheeler. It's a used four-wheeler, like 7 years old, a Honda Rancher. I paid $4,800. That's like, a used car almost, and you're talking about one suit being that price. Yeah. That's what CEOs pay for their business suits.
Yeah.
And you're wanting to pay that just so you can have sex?
No. Most furries don't do it because it's a sexual thing. It's actually not a sexual thing. This is just to go to conventions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if this, I'm not saying not to do it. If this is your thing, fucking do it. Fucking have fun. Live your life how you want to live it. and I will never say a bad thing about it. But I just cannot reason paying, that much.
Yeah.
What I paid for that ATV. I can't imagine paying it for something that I'll only use for conventions or only use for sex or, only use to like once a month go to a club meeting or something like that. Like with my four-wheeler, I use it almost every day.
Yeah.
I have a huge yard, and just to do yard work, I need it.
Yeah. But yeah, let's continue on. Let's.
During the school day, they meow and they bark, and they interact with their school, with the teachers and that in this fashion. And now schools are wanting to put litter boxes in the schools.
No, they aren't. No,
What school?
Aren't. Which school? Which county?
Who has brought this up? Was it at a PTA meeting? Was it at a regional school event? Like where was this brought up? Under what context?
Yeah.
Not just now schools are wanting to do it because kids think they're cats.
Now you see why I picked this, because we needed something to laugh at after Russia.
I mean, I can always laugh at Russia.
True.
Russia is the land of shit and vodka. I mean,
I wonder.
Russia held just a few weeks ago a hard cider convention, and 40 people died.
Oh gods.
Because apparently the makers of this hard cider, which is called Mr. Cider, instead of, now I've made hard cider before. It's not that hard. Literally, you need apple juice and yeast.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Or apple cider and yeast, to be more specific. But it's not that hard. But instead of, making it like that, these guys stole barrels of industrial alcohol that they didn't know was methyl alcohol instead of ethyl alcohol, and then mixed it into apple juice and gave it to people at the cider festival.
That's just as bad as the entropy thing.
A lot, apparently, in Russia. And at that point, I have to laugh at Russia.
Methyl out.
Because this just happened. 40 people died.
You don't drink methyl.
But this isn't the first time. This happens every fucking year. People go to this cider festival and drink methyl alcohol and die. And at that point, you just have to laugh at it.
Well, Russia is also the same place crocodile came from. You know what crocodile is, right?
No.
Crocodile is a drug that basically gives you the same effects as meth, but it's basically gasoline that you inject into your system. And the reason it's called crocodile is because scales start to form on your arm wherever you inject it.
That's nice.
No. Not. It necrotizes the flesh.
Yeah. It sounds like something that would come from Russia.
And it came from Russia.
My best way to explain it is if you have the Russian version of something, like this is the Russian version of meth. We'll just leave it at that for right now. This is the Russian version of meth. The Russian version of anything is like the really shitty version.
Yeah.
Just like with Russian weapons, you have a gun and then you have a Russian gun, and that Russian gun doesn't really gun very well.
Oh wait!
And
I've got to show the picture. I've got to show the picture of that.
All right. But yeah, everything in Russia is just like a worse version of what it is everywhere else. And then you have Chinese, which is a shitty ripoff copy of the Russian version of whatever it is.
This one, this one right here. Let me pull this up real quick.
Oh,
I'm not showing it yet.
Okay. Yeah, that's a Russian revolver.
Yeah, that's a Russian revolver right there. That's straight up.
Once you start to understand these things, like what the Russian version of things is, it's the really shitty version of a normal thing. You start to really understand Russia. Like a Russian cider festival is like a normal cider festival, but it's really shitty because 40 people die.
Everyone dies at the end.
Yeah. Because instead of making hard cider, they made Russian hard cider, which had industrial methyl alcohol instead of, just fermenting apple cider.
Yeah, yes, Jinju. It's a Russian marksmanship pistol.
Yeah.
Hey, Jinju.
And in fact, you got it right. Shit and vodka sometimes in the same bottle. Yeah. Alcohol poisoning is actually a very big problem in Russia. And I'm not talking about like just drinking too much. I'm talking about drinking methyl alcohol. This is actually a huge problem in Russia because Russia doesn't regulate it like we do in the US.
And from what I've heard,
or anywhere else. I know fact he's in Canada. So they don't regulate it like they do in Canada. They don't regulate it like they do in fucking Nigeria.
From what I heard, they actually
random country. I'm not saying Nigeria is fucking or anything.
From what I heard, they actually, some of them put the still, like they used to do this way back, in the day because they wanted the wine to be a little bit stronger and sweeter, because antifreeze actually does have a very sweet taste to it.
Oh yeah.
And so they would put a little bit of antifreeze in the wine so it would basically get to your bloodstream quicker, but it also had the unfortunate side effect of killing you.
Yeah. I've heard of that. And of course, well, so my ex-wife, when she was growing up, her pet dog died suddenly. Yep. And
antifreeze.
Turned out that her neighbor, her dog barked at her neighbor as he walked by in the alleyway every day, and he finally had enough of it and put out a pan of antifreeze, and her dog died.
Animals love the taste of antifreeze.
Yeah. I mean, it smells like fucking maple syrup.
Yeah.
It smells like it would taste really good. And it
does.
It's that cool, like almost neon yellowish green color. Yeah. It looks cool and it smells good. Why would I not want to taste it?
And antifreeze, like I said, it has a very sweet taste to it. It just does. And it can kill you. Because it's a blood thinner. It's a blood thinner is what it is. And it's basically thins your blood to the point where you just have a heart attack and die.
Mark used to have a Chinese version of a Russian paratrooper folding stock AK. I know the exact gun you're talking about. Why can't I think of the name? AK-74, I believe, was the Russian designation. But yeah, the only good Chinese knockoff of a Russian anything is the SKS. A buddy of mine has a knockoff SKS, a Chinese knockoff SKS. He paid like maybe $200 for it at a gun show one time. He was like, "Hey, that's kind of cool. I'll buy it." $200 for a 7.62 by 39 rifle. That's not a bad deal. So, he bought it, and I have to say that it's not a bad gun. I've fired it quite a lot, and it's not a bad gun. But I've also fired Russian-made AK-47s and AK-74s. No, wait, I'm wrong about the one you're talking about. The 74 is just the modernized AK-47. Shit, I forget what it is. But yeah, anyway, so I've fired actual Russian-made AK-47s and AK-74s, and they're kind of shit. Like I used to want an AK-47 because when you think of bad guy gun, what do you think of? You think of an AK-47.
Yeah.
Literally every bad guy everywhere for the past 70 years has had an AK-47. And so it must be a good gun. But then a buddy of mine has one and I fired it and it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, and everyone around here has a Armalite rifle.
Yeah,
Armalite
an
rifle.
AR-15.
AR-15, yeah.
Or even now, I've fired actual Armalites. I've fired the Colt version. I've fired
pretty good.
the Smith & Wesson version. Well, Colt is the one that manufactured the M4 carbine, which is the military version of the AR-15. Yeah, carbine. Even though the inventor of the carbine, his first name was Carbine, they call it Carbine.
Oh,
his name was Carbine Williams.
I always thought it was called carbine rifles because of the name.
Nope, it's Carbine.
Oh, okay. I learned something every day.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've even fired like my one of my closest friends has a Palmetto State Armory AR-15. He paid $450 for it, something like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas, an Armalite or a Colt or even a Smith & Wesson is going to cost you $1,500, something like that.
Yeah.
You pay like $450 for it. It's a nice gun. It's better than a Russian-made AK-47. Like a cheap fucking AR-15 knockoff is better than the original AK-47. So
I've heard the Kalashnikov is actually really good.
Yeah, and Mark Beiser, you're right. Everything that China makes is the type something.
Yeah. But like I said, I heard that the Kalashnikov is actually a pretty decent rifle.
But it's not.
It isn't?
Yeah, the Kalashnikov, Amatov Kalashnikov, that's what AK stands for.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's the inventor's name.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the AK was the Kalashnikov. I always thought
that
was two separate weapons.
That's how Russia does their designations. Like MiG, MiG planes stands for Mikoyan Gorovich.
Oh, okay.
The guy that ran the factory that made MiG fighter planes.
But if you want
like the Su-57, Russia's quote unquote stealth plane. SU just stands for Sukhoi. I forget his first name, probably Vladimir or Ivan, or they're all called Vladimir or Ivan these days. So probably Vladimir Sukhoi. Yeah, and the Russia's state of the art, again air quotes, Ka-52 attack helicopter. Ka is just Kamov.
Also,
it's literally just the initials of the person's name.
And speaking of names, the short for Vladimir is not Vlad. Vlad is another name in itself. The short for Vladimir is Vova. Putin's first name is not Vladimir. It's Vlad. It's not Vladimir. I can't believe I have to keep on telling people this. And like I said, short for Vladimir is Vova.
Well, Vova can be short. Vlad can be short for it though.
No, it's not though. But it's not.
But now
Just
everyone calls Putin Pupa.
Pupa, yeah.
Which is just grandfather.
Yeah. But no, but yeah, Vlad
because
isn't.
He's an old fart.
But Vlad isn't short for Vladimir. I was just, since we were talking about names, I just had to get that out real quick. So,
I mean, it can be, but yeah, the more common version of short for Vladimir is Vova, but Vlad can also be short for Vladimir.
But Vlad is another name in itself, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And yeah, Mark Pfizer.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. You can have someone named Will. You can have someone named William.
Yeah. Or Wilhelm.
You can have someone named Mike. You can have someone named Michael.
Yeah.
They're different names, but they're also short for the other name.
Yeah. And what Mark Pfizer said a moment ago, like 25 years ago, a wine winning some big tasting contest in France, but later found to contain antifreeze. Yeah, that's what spurred the whole antifreeze panic in winemakers in the U.S. Because in the U.S., it wasn't illegal in the 90s to put antifreeze in wine. It just...
Yeah, they actually used it as a sweetener.
Yeah, they used it as a sweetener.
And the French loved it, and the way that I found out about that, and I actually remember that happening, the way that I found out about it happening was The Simpsons did an episode on it.
Yep, same here. That's exactly where I found out about it too. God damn.
And then I think I found out about it like years later. I was like, holy shit, that's the Simpsons episode. Because I watched that episode when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. The Simpsons is actually good at predicting the goddamn future. Like, holy hell. But yeah, we're way the fuck off topic here. Let's get back to the source material.
Yeah, I can sit here and Mark is kind of egging me on.
Yeah, no, yeah. He is.
Because he's bringing up points that I can talk about, and I have, albeit limited, I have knowledge in these points. You know, I could spend another 10 minutes talking about his last comment there. Cheap to manufacture, you know, reliable, except the reliability is kind of a myth with the Kalashnikov, the AK-47. Like, it's not nearly as reliable. I've seen a lot of tests done where an AR-15, even the M16, like the Vietnam era, outperformed the AK-47 in reliability tests.
I'll say one thing on this subject. The only good gun is a Thompson Special. You'll never change my mind on that. The best gun is a Thompson 47. 47. God damn it, Thompson Special.
Thompson Special.
Yeah, Tommy gun. You know, like they show in mafia films.
Well, yeah, I know what a Tommy gun is.
And it jams all the goddamn time. That thing, no, it's completely unreliable. Thompson Special is...
Do you know why it jams, though? Because I do.
Too many bullets at one time. It's too fast.
No.
Loads too fast. That's what I always heard.
Originally, the first Thompson machine gun actually could fire too fast. Yeah. So what they did, and I forget what this method is called, but it's the theory where different metals, if you take and what they did, they took brass and steel, God, it's something locking is the term, but I just can't think of it right now. But the theory was that different metals would create a friction between each other.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
To where that would slow the gun down, but it didn't. That was actually a hypothesis that was proven untrue later.
Yeah.
But the way that they built this lock actually did cause it to slow down because it was inserted diagonally. So it had to take the time to rise up diagonally before the carriage could open, the bolt could come back and eject the shell and load another round in. So that slowed the gun down. Even though they were thinking they were doing it one way, they ended up doing it a different way, and that's what slowed the gun down. But it still fired at like a ridiculously fast rate.
Yeah, that's what made the Thompson so
then they made the second version. And I forget what the exact designations of each one was. You know, the original was just a Thompson submachine gun.
Yeah.
And then they made the second version, and then they made the third version, which is the one that the military bought, and you saw why can't I think of his name? The guy that played Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
You saw Tom Hanks carry in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
That was the third version of the Thompson submachine gun.
It was the second one that had the futuristic, not futuristic, but the God damn, I can't think of the word right now. That round barrel in it. That
round barrel. Are you talking about the drum mag?
Yes, the drum. That's what I'm talking about. The drum.
Yeah, the drum magazine.
Yeah.
No, they all had it. I take that back. The military version, the third version, I think they left the little nub that the drum mag slid into.
Yeah, they changed.
They left it off because the military didn't want drum magazines.
Yeah.
But every other version of the Thompson submachine gun, you can have straight mags or you can have drum mags.
And the drum mags, the only reason those were very attractive at the time was because, well, you could fit a lot of bullets in.
I think they came in 50 or 70 round drums.
Yeah.
So, you know, you could fire 50 or 70 times without having to reload. But the straight mags, I actually almost bought a Tommy gun one time.
Nice.
Not a bad deal. I think the guy was asking like $1,800 for it.
Damn, that's good. That's a damn good price because usually it goes for about 35. Well, 32, 35.
Yeah, I forget if the straight clips were like 18 or 20 rounds or whatever they were.
Yeah, that's about 20 rounds.
But yeah, then you had the option. But you know, it's a very inaccurate gun to begin with, especially with a high fire rate.
It's a spray and pray.
That's why they had the muzzle brake with the slashes on the top, because as you fired, the gases would push your barrel down to keep it from just, you know, doing the movie where someone tries to fire a gun.
It just goes off into
a fully automatic gun, and it just automatically points to the sky.
Yeah.
But even if you could hold it on target, it still wasn't accurate. But then you also had to contend with that's a lot of weight when you have that heavy gun plus 70 rounds of ammunition.
But like I said, that's what you call a spray and pray. You spray and pray it hits something.
Yeah, you don't want to be walking around holding a gun that weighs that much.
Yeah, they're very fucking heavy.
So people just didn't like the drum magazines, except for mafiosos who wouldn't really carry them around. You know, they'd have them in the car, they'd step out, walk into a building, spray down a bunch of people, like in the SMC Cartage Company, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And then they'd walk out and set the gun in the car, get in and drive off.
Yeah.
They weren't humping 6 miles through northern France looking for Jerry.
Yeah. And the Gatlin had a good gun, but it didn't fit in my pocket. Gatling cannons are...
Well,
yeah.
You know, that's why the Chinese invented the minigun.
Yeah.
It's just the small pocket-sized version of the Gatling gun.
It's still heavy as fuck, though.
Get it? Chinese.
Oh,
Asians have
yeah.
small penises.
Yeah.
Minigun. No, China didn't actually invent the minigun.
Anyway, let's get back to the topic.
For these children to use. How is this sanitary? I'm going to have a discussion with CEO Smith about this. This is something I think, how can schools allow this to happen? I think it's very disruptive within the school system. I think it's very disruptive within the classes. I even heard from one person here recently said that a student identified as a cat and wanted a litter box. And the school didn't provide the litter box, so the student
because trust me, bro.
Yeah,
really?
Trust me, bro. Trust me.
Really?
That's my source.
School administrators, what is going on?
Nothing.
Nebraska Department of Education, what is going on? State Board of Education, what is going on?
I mean, I think the legal term is hearsay.
If some kids can't wear American flag to walk through the school on their shirt, and you keep them out of school?
Which kids can't wear American flags on their
shirts?
shirts?
But it's okay if they wear a cat costume? You have a litter box for them, and that's fine? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I bet it's kids in Oregon. They're always, keeping kids from wearing flags and stupid commie shit like that. Down in Oregon. Those commie bastards.
That reminds me of this specifically.
Yeah, I would love to be a congressman who can just make bullshit up and ramble on about it.
It reminds me of this meme specifically. Come on, load. Yeah, this.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
They're getting outraged at something that they made up.
Yeah.
They get outraged.
Or something that they did to themselves, but yeah, in this case, it's their own fucking fantasy.
Yeah.
They act like they didn't know what a furry was until insert random person that's totally not made up told them that this was happening somewhere. They had no idea what a furry was. But I bet if you check their internet history, that would paint a little bit different picture.
Or this one. Right here.
Like what was the what was the anti-gay, anti-LGBTQIA plus lawmaker in Tennessee that got busted for having sex with another guy fairly recently?
Which one? That's happened a dozen times.
I mean, like within the past few months, maybe 3 or 4 months. I just thought it was hilarious because it's Tennessee. Tennessee's like the most anti-gay state in the country for some reason. They're fucking crazy in Tennessee. And then this guy is like the cream of the crop of the anti-gays.
Well, I know Ted Nugent.
He gets caught having sex with guys.
I know Ted Nugent did. It was Ted Nugent, yeah. Ted Nugent got caught having sex with a male escort.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, dude wrote a song about having sex with an underage girl. He literally bragged about statutory rape.
Yeah.
In song form.
Yeah.
What do you think the song Cat Scratch Fever is about?
Yeah.
Listen to the lyrics sometime. That's statutory rape.
Yeah. Well, there was another song he wrote about statutory rape. I forgot the name of it right now, though. Shit. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, I've never really listened to Ted Nugent,
Me
but
neither.
I know Cat Scratch Fever.
No, there's one where he talks about a 14-year-old girl because he actually specifically mentions the age of the girl.
Well, yeah, that's Cat Scratch Fever.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. I thought it was a different song for some reason.
Yeah, hang on. I'm like 90% sure he says she's 14 in Cat Scratch Fever. But I'm going to look it up just to make sure.
Jailbait. No, it was Jailbait. Jailbait.
Oh, yeah. That's right, yeah.
Jailbait. The song Jailbait. And everyone fucking knows what Jailbait's about. Because it's in the name of the song.
Well, the first time that I got it, I was just 10 years old. I got it from some kiddie next door.
Yeah. He talks about statutory rape in a lot of his songs. About him committing statutory rape. Not just about the action. About him actually doing it.
Yeah, that's right. I was getting the two songs confused, but yeah, they're both about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely forgot that he does have a song called Statutory Rape.
Yeah.
That's even more so about statutory rape.
Yeah. God. Ted Nugent is just the worst. I mean, he shit his pants several times a day, went without taking any bath or anything, and never changed clothes for, what was it, a couple months before they tried to draft him, because he knew they were gonna try to draft him for the war, and he did all that to avoid being drafted.
Donald Trump faked having bone spurs to avoid the draft.
Yeah. I don't know which is worse.
Things to avoid the draft back then.
I don't know which is worse though, faking bone spurs or shitting yourself repeatedly and never washing and wearing the same clothes every day and getting dirty every day.
I mean, if you're Russian, that's just normal behavior. That's not draft dodging behavior. That's just what they do in Russia. I wish I had time to get the video, because a few months ago I saw the greatest thing ever. I saw a Russian news report from some bumfuck town, some little village in Russia, that they only had one toilet in this village. They had, I guess it was on like the town square or something. They had this little wooden outhouse that everyone in the village had to pee and poop in. Or use chamber pots at their house, or, pee and poop in their yard, whatever they wanted to do. But they only had one toilet for this village, which is a lot more common than you think in Russia, by the way, but I digress. And some guy in the village didn't have firewood. The Russian government was supposed to deliver firewood, but they were sending all the extra wood to Ukraine to build trenches with and to keep the soldiers warm, so they didn't send it to the people in Russia. So this guy one night went out and just took the toilet apart to burn it to keep himself warm. So the news comes out and does this story on the mystery of the disappearing toilet. That this guy literally had to steal the town toilet to stay alive, and now he's going to jail for that. But they interviewed this one woman, and she literally said, now where will all the patients in the hospital use the restroom? Her concern was the fact that a hospital, literally a hospital, now did not have a toilet because this guy tore down the city toilet, the only shitter in this village.
Oh, God. Wow.
And that is Russia in a nutshell right there.
And I absolutely love that when you search kitty litter in classrooms, I have one hit on it from this one. And then every single one of them, top 10 cat litter hacks every cat owner needs to know. Cats 101, basic cat training tips. Using the dust aerosol monitor. How to keep the litter box fresh and clean, easy ideas for cleaning up after your cat.
Yeah.
How to change
and
cat
then
pee
there's
on
one
carpet.
dude
And then in the middle of this,
who totally for real heard from someone that he knows.
No, he heard from someone. He heard from someone that had heard from someone else that had heard from someone else that their father said that their mother said that. Yeah, exactly. It goes down this good. And it's not about furries. It is not about furries. It's about trans people. It's literally about trans people.
Exactly.
They're doing
it is.
the slippery slope.
It's God, what's the term?
Slippery slope. Slippery slope.
No. What's the term where you disguise an argument as something else?
I know what you're talking about.
My brain isn't braining for some reason. Like, it's a fairly common term, but for some reason my brain just forgot that term. But yeah, that's what it is. It's just insert term here for trans people. That's all it is. I do want to point this out. Mark Beiser says that there are towns in African countries where the public toilet is literally a squat toilet in the sidewalk with like 3 high walls around 3 sides. And yeah, and you would kind of expect that in a very undeveloped African country, not even the more developed African countries. But yeah, the really backwater African countries, you would expect that. They've never had toilets, so that's like a novelty there. But this is Russia. This is a country masquerading as a world power. And literally, your chances of owning a toilet decrease by like 75% as soon as you get outside of the ring road of Moscow. That's all Russia is some people in Moscow that are sucking the largest country in the world dry. Everyone outside of their little club gets nothing. And that's what, apparently literal fucking Nazis were trying to change yesterday and today.
Equivocation. That's what you're thinking of, the equivocation fallacy.
Yeah, that's not exactly what I was thinking of. But yeah, like a false
equivalency? No,
not a false equivalency. Yeah, it'll come to me when we end the stream.
Yeah, probably.
I will totally remember the damn word when the stream ends, but right now my brain is just not braining. I'm running on literally 2 hours of sleep and 3/4 of a foot-long sub from Subway right now, because all this shit kicked off yesterday, and I was glued to the news from the moment I saw it kicking off. Took about a 2-hour nap from like 4 to 6 a.m. Woke up, and then I was glued to the news again until I went to town to run errands and get Subway.
Yeah, but see,
and I just finished eating Subway before we started the stream.
But see, right now we are in the middle of another well, not in the middle of, we're just at the start of another genocide. I'm not going overboard here. It's literally the hallmark signs of a genocide. as described in God damn it, what was the name of that? Fuck, I can't remember right now. But
The Geneva Conventions.
Not that, but it's
I mean,
described in
that's where we define genocide on a global scale.
Yeah, but basically we're at step 8 right now. Let me
a standardized
yeah
definition of genocide. The Geneva Conventions define it, just like Russia is kidnapping children from Ukraine
right
and then
here.
sending them to Russia to special schools to Russify them and then giving them up for adoption to Russian families. According to the Geneva Conventions, that is considered genocide.
So at stage 1, we have classifications. The differences between people are not respected. There is a division of us and them. Basically, classification is a us versus them mentality. Yep. We well past that stage. Stage 2, symbolization. Let me bring this down a little bit so everyone can see it better. This is a visual manifestation of hatred. Jews in Nazi-occupied Europe were forced to wear the yellow Star of David. In Cambodia, the Khmer Rouge forced people... Khmer Rouge forced people in the eastern zone to wear blue scarves. From 1992 in northwest Bosnia, all non-Serbian citizens were forced to wear white armbands. Fortunately, we haven't had to worry about the symbolization, but it's still there, technically. Stage 3, discrimination. Because they skipped stage 2 because they didn't.
I mean, there is to an effect there is a symbolization, although it's a self-inflicted symbolization.
Yeah.
With the first the rainbow flag, and then there's the trans flag. There's they all have their own flag now, and that is.
That is a symbolization. Yeah, you've got a point there.
That is symbolization, even though it's not forced symbolization.
Yeah. And in stage 3, we have discrimination. The dominant group denies civil rights or even citizenship to anti-Semitic groups. The 1935 Nuremberg laws stripped Jews of their German citizenship, made it illegal for them to do many jobs, and to marry German non-Jews. We have definite discrimination among trans people right now. I mean, it's fucking obvious at this point.
Yeah.
Stage 4, dehumanization. Those perceived as different are treated with no form of human rights or personal dignity. During the genocide in Rwanda, Tutsis were often referred to as cockroaches. The Nazis referred to Jews as vermin. Yeah, we definitely have dehumanization of trans people from the right. And the right, unfortunately, right now, have too much power. Nobody will disagree with that. Well, nobody here, at least. Stage 5, organization. Genocides are always planned. Regimes of hatred often train those who go out to carry out the destruction of a people. The Sudanese government supports and arms the Janjaweed? I don't know. Arab militia.
Hang on, sorry, my brain's still stuck on stage 4. I was trying to think of an example of the dehumanization aspect.
Groomer. Groomer. They call us groomers.
Yeah, well, there's that. But there was something specific that I was going to say, and you just made me lose my train of thought.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
But yeah, there is a lot of dehumanization. Not just from the far right, but really in general for LGBTQI. I'm so used to just saying LGBT.
Yeah.
I want to say it right. I want to include everyone, but my brain just automatically thinks LGBT.
Yeah, it's a normal thing.
Yeah. But Yeah. So anyway, where were you on organization?
Genocides are always planned. Regimes of hatred often train those who go out to carry out the destruction of people. Yeah, there are militia groups training to, how do I put this without triggering
the Janjaweed. I've for some reason I've never actually heard Janjaweed, but
yeah,
I assume that's the Arab pronunciation.
Yeah, in Darfur to carry out the violence and killings. And yeah, like I said, we have actual people training to be in militias on the right. You hardly ever hear about them because they don't like to broadcast that they're raising militias to take over the government. But
I mean, some of them like to broadcast. You know,
a lot
like,
of them. Yeah,
the ones that took that ranger station or whatever it was
gosh, yeah, the sovereign citizens. Yeah.
What was it, Wyoming or wherever, Nevada,
Nebraska. I think it was Nebraska. I don't know. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, there are some right-wing militias that do like to advertise, they like to show that, hey, we got guns and we can LARP as soldiers.
Yeah.
We went to the gun show at the county fair and we bought us a knockoff AR-15. Now we're ready for war.
But no, if I had the video, I would show it. But there was a video released on YouTube not too long ago of a right-wing militia doing drill practice. And they were very, let's just say, they're not very good at it.
Yeah,
they're not very good at it. It's a bunch of fat white men.
Oh yeah,
who
don't. Here's the thing: it's not hard
physically fit
to find someone who has been in the military who can train you on basic tactics.
Yeah.
The problem with far right militias is it's really hard to find someone that's been in the military that actually shares your point of view, that is willing to train you.
Yeah, they usually trend towards left, towards the left.
No, military trends center right, really.
Yeah.
But if you know, the military breaks you down and then builds you up into what you should be to be a soldier, and that training really, again, I'm my brain isn't braining the word that I want to brain right now, but it keeps you from falling into not 100%. I know that there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, it keeps you from falling into these fringe ideals.
Yeah, like QAnon
and conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could do a lot more to keep people from doing it, especially when we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars teaching them to kill people.
Well, the reason I said they trend more towards left is because the right is going so far right now that they can't agree with the right anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm fucking center right in my beliefs, but because of how far right in this country the right has gone, I'm far fucking left at this point.
Yeah, I'm basically I'm a hardcore leftist, but that's a whole other story. But I'm only a hardcore leftist because of how far the right is.
Yeah, I had this crazy realization, and this was when Bush was president. I had this crazy realization because I have been center right pretty much my entire life, and I had this realization that holy fuck, I'm like center of the Democratic Party right now.
Yeah,
like that's where, and Obama, if he had been elected, 50 years ago or
Oh, he'd have been a
whatever,
Republican.
would have been a right-wing candidate.
Yeah.
A lot of the things he did was actually
very right-wing.
Right-wing ideas and things that a Republican president would do. And I think, that's why I liked Obama so much, is because he lined up with me where I fall on the real political spectrum.
Yeah, not in the overhead window.
Center right. That's what Obama was center right.
Yeah, that's what Biden is. Biden is center right.
Yeah. Biden's a little more center left.
I would say, he's let's just call him a centrist. That's basically what
I could go with Biden being a centrist. But basically, to be elected in the Democratic Party now, you have to be the farthest left you can go is center left.
Yeah. That's the farthest that you can go right now, unless you're like in a fringe area like Bernie Sanders or AOC is. But
I'm referring more to as a president.
Oh yeah.
That's the furthest left you could be is center left.
And then let's continue on. We kind of got stuck there, but yeah. Stage 6, polarization. Propaganda begins to spread by hate groups. The Nazis used the newspaper Der Stürmer to spread and incite messages of hate about Jewish people. Doesn't Kenneth Copeland have an TV channel? And doesn't the far right have different newspapers like Daily Mail and Daily Mail? Like not the U.S.
Until he made the world a better place by dying recently, Pat Robertson had a channel called
the 700 Club,
or at least a show called the 700 Club.
Yeah, and I swear
they based that he made the world a better place by dying recently.
And I swear, Star Trek, the Ferengi are based on Pat Robertson, the face at least. If you look at Ferengi, you look at Pat Robertson, they look the fucking same. But yeah, the right has their propaganda.
There's a lot of far right Christian propaganda, and there's a lot of just in general a lot of anti-LGBT propaganda out there.
Yeah, like I said earlier, groomers. That's the new F word. That's the new slang for trans people is groom. Well, not just trans people. The LGBTQ plus community altogether is groomers. They claim that we groom children. I'm like, no, They claim we're pedophiles and that groom children. No, we aren't. Most LGBTQ stay far away from children. There are some that write, these a little bit risque books, but they're not the mainstream. They're not. They're guilty of what's called the nut-picking fallacy.
You're always going to have these fringes, no matter where you look.
And what the right is guilty of is called the nut-picking fallacy.
A fringe isn't a norm.
Yeah.
Just because you find one example of something doesn't mean that that's every example ever of that thing happening.
That's why I was pointing out the nut-picking fallacy. The nut-picking fallacy essentially is when you pick out one crazy person that's on the side that you're trying to argue against and put them as if that's the norm.
Yeah.
It's not an actually noted logical fallacy, but it is a logical fallacy. I mean, it's
I do want to bring something up because I saw here at the bottom it said genocide never just happens, and that cued something in my brain, and my brain actually brained for once, because genocide did literally just happen in, what was it, Somalia?
Yeah.
I believe back in 2020 or 2021. And the army basically just like surrounded these people they didn't like and cut internet access, cut all the roads leading out of the area,
Yeah.
and then starved them to death. Just,
Yeah.
they didn't have any medical supplies, they didn't have any food or anything like that, and the army just sat there and waited for them to all die, and the world didn't give a shit.
I mean, look at the Armenians.
And I know why the world didn't give a shit. I mean, we're talking about like the year of or the year after COVID. We're literally sitting in our underwear in our house on the computer all day at this point. So of course, if we see it, we're going to care about it. But there was no media there because
they cut it off.
The army didn't allow
Yep.
anything or anyone to get in and just let these people die.
Yeah.
I believe it was Somalia. I could be wrong, but it was one of the like northeastern or Horn of Africa countries.
And then we have stage 7, preparation. Perpetrators plan the genocide. They often use euphemisms such as the Nazis' phrase, the final solution, to cloak their intentions. Acts of genocide are disguised as self-defense if there is an ongoing armed conflict or civil war, such as in Bosnia. We have them preparing right now. Like I said, they have armed militias that they are trying to instruct, but failing miserably at.
I have a video for us to watch, but talk amongst yourself for a second because it's going to take me a minute to find it because it was like over 24 hours ago, and I subscribe to like 300 different channels that cover Ukraine and Russia, and something happened in the last 24 hours that for some reason everyone and their grandma wanted to make videos about all the time.
And then we have stage 8, which is what we're currently in. Persecution. Victims are identified because of their ethnicity or religion or sexual attraction, gender identity, etc., etc., and death lists are drawn up. People are sometimes segregated into ghettos, deported, or starved, and property is also often expropriated. Genocidal massacres begin. That's the one we're currently facing. We're currently in stage 7, but we're moving towards stage 8. Is what I'm getting at. Which, I mean, yeah. And then there's stage 9 and stage 10. Extermination and denial. In stage 9, the hate group murders their identified victims in a deliberate and systematic campaign of violence. Millions of lives have been destroyed or changed beyond recognition through genocide. Hope that never fucking happens. But with how the right is ramping up right now, it's not looking good. I mean, look at January 6th, for instance. I know that has nothing to do with LGBTQ+, but or the QIA+, yeah. But
I have found the video. Look in the green room. We're gonna watch at least part of this video, and this goes back to which one was it? The one where you were talking about using code words like the Nazis said the final solution.
Yeah.
And just volume really low. We don't need to actually hear them talk. And I'll read the subtitles out for people.
Okay.
So but I want you to pay attention to certain things. I'll tell you to pause at a certain point, but go ahead and play it. I forget exactly where it is in this. Just mute it. It pains me to say this, but I think that 80% of the people in Ukraine hate us with every fiber of their being. Okay, over to Bogdan. We'll spend our second hour discussing how this could have happened. I would call it dehumanization, regression to an animalistic level, but I don't think these people, they act as in towers like damn it, it's going too fast. These towers are transmitting signals and infecting others. These towers should be turned off. You paused it at the perfect fucking spot.
Okay.
Thank goodness. That was beautiful. These towers should be turned off. The Ukrainians that are saying to not like Russia because Russians are killing Ukrainians should be turned off. I wonder what that means. Keep going.
And yeah, the fact that you are completely correct. The frauditors and sovereign citizen movement, they are not helping at all. They're
not helping anything. But like they could just go away and it would be a better place.
Yeah, it would be. It seriously would.
Like, regardless of the topic, they're not helping. And people placed under a normal info influence, most people are in a state of apathy and depression. They've had enough of war. The hate is being transmitted and it resonates with them. This information is constantly being forced upon them. These people are being influenced by bombing and air raid alarms in the middle of the night. And then they shout him down for actually saying the truth because this is Russian propaganda. I believe that most people don't share this hatred, and you're wrong. Most people who transmit this hatred are doing it because they belong to this radical ideology or are doing it out of vanity to be trendy. Okay, what's your take? I wanted to add that people are being influenced by military actions. So, they don't really hate us, but it's popular to hate us. That's why they're hating us. There's only a few people in Ukraine that hate us for committing genocide. But all these other people are just being influenced by those that hate us for committing genocide.
The whole thing in Ukraine is a mirror of what's about to happen in the U.S. with the LGBTQIA plus community. Seriously.
Yeah. So keep going. There's specifically something that I want to see here, or want to show. Whether they'll make it through another day or night, and that's the whole point. That's literally what's happening. And they're shouting at her for saying what the actual problem is.
Yeah.
80% of the population feels this way. I understood you the first time. Now shut the fuck up, bitch. We're trying to do propaganda here.
Yeah.
But the question is what to do about it. The solution is simple: destroying the said towers and those operating those so-called towers. They're literally saying, destroy the people that don't like us.
Yeah.
This is not just some sociology. Keep going.
I like how they put Russian disinfo in the bottom right corner of that.
Yeah, well, that's the channel name.
Oh, okay.
Well, the channel name is Russia Media Monitor, but yeah. They feel nothing but hatred towards Russians and the desire to physically eliminate them. That's why Vanya's at a loss, because this includes Russian-speaking people. It's not just Russian. It's anyone who speaks Russian. Saving and defending Russian speakers, that's what we got to do. We need to defend the Russian identity in Ukraine. We need to preserve a Russian self-identification. How are you planning to defend or preserve it when 80% of the population hates you? Currently, there's only one way of doing that: to liquidate it as soon as possible. You can stop it right there, because that's what I wanted to show.
Yep.
The only fucking way to get these people to not hate us for killing them is to kill them.
Yeah.
And that is how genocide happens.
Yep.
Right the fuck there.
Yep.
And that is what Russia is doing. Now, I don't know how much the people in the chat and the people that watch this. I don't know how much you guys actually follow what's going in Ukraine, but I follow it pretty closely, and I've seen and heard some things. Uh, about I want to say within the last month, maybe 2 months, there was a Russian that confessed to they were ordered to just go into this town near Bakhmut, and anyone they saw, regardless of who they were, anyone they saw wipe out. And he was like, uh, there was this little girl crying. She was about 10 years old, and I shut her up, which means he shot and killed her. And they put down everyone. They killed about 400 or 450 people, if I remember correctly, that night. Literally just eliminating every civilian in a town in Ukraine in one night. People who were hiding in their basements because Russia was shelling them relentlessly. And then Russia just comes into the basement and guns them all down.
Yeah.
So, yes, this is genocide happening in Ukraine. Yeah. And, that's why I came very close to cheering for a literal fucking Nazi today.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough. Came close to. I didn't actually, but came close to cheering for a literal fucking Nazi.
And that's the reason the QAnon likes Russia so much, because they like their genocides.
Oh yeah.
The Republicans love war.
Well, they also like it. I've always wondered why Trump liked Putin so much.
Because he is what he could be.
They're both incredibly autocratic people.
Yeah.
And the more that I've learned about Putin, I mean, tell me if I'm describing Donald Trump or Vladimir Putin here. Surrounds himself with only close people that he can trust, regardless of whether they're good for that job or not. Only gets their news from one source, and that is a propaganda channel, or from their yes men and toadies that brief them daily. So who am I talking about?
Talking about the same person.
Talking about fucking both of them.
Yeah.
I literally just described both of them.
Yeah.
The only difference between Trump and Putin is Putin doesn't know how to use the fucking internet. He's afraid of the internet and won't use it. That's literally the only difference. If Putin knew how to tweet, they would be the same person.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, you're completely correct on that. And I think that's where we'll leave it tonight. I think that's a good place. I think that's a good place.
We've been going for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran a little bit longer than I wanted to, but it takes a little while to describe everything. So I did want to point out, if you are interested in getting more information about what happened today, or what's going on with the war in Ukraine, I think, Zumi, you put it in the description for this.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. The Enforcer is a great channel. If you just want like the raw videos with a little bit of commentary saying this is where it happened, this is what's happening, and that's pretty much it in the video. The Enforcer's a great channel for that. They put out a video today where they just went through all the video and picture evidence of the day's events. It was about like 22 minutes long or something.
Damn.
And just chronologically went through all the video evidence from the day of what happened in Russia. And they have nightly streams. Now the streams are longer and they do a lot of fluff stuff. They, answer super chats and go off on wild tangents, kind of like I do. Kind of like Zoomy and I do.
Yeah.
They'll go off on tangents. So the streams run like 3.5 hours. But they do, just give you the info. Like, here's the video evidence of what happened today. And then if you want someone who has a little bit better understanding than I think he lets in on, I didn't put the link in the description, but Jake Bro is probably the best YouTuber at the moment for reporting on the war in Ukraine. Just you can search Jake, Jake, Bro, Broe. But I'm pretty sure as soon as you start typing Jake and you type B, his name's going to pop up because his channel has really taken off. Let me just test that. I literally typed J, and the very first thing is Jake Bro.
Well, that's because you've already had it trained to go to Jake Bro.
Yeah, probably so. But 375K subscribers, and his videos get more views than he has subscribers consistently. He puts out a video every other day, and his videos, he kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve in them, and it really makes you feel for what's going on. You really feel his emotions, and he does just an incredible job at doing it. And the dude was a nuclear weapons officer for the United States Air Force until just a year or two ago, I think. And he sat in a missile silo with his hand on the button, waiting for the command to launch a nuclear missile. That was his job.
Damn.
So he kind of has that understanding of what's at stake.
And I'll say this much. If you want more information about the whole QAnon thing and the LGBTQIA plus community, as well as, the kitty litter in classrooms, I would definitely suggest...
Which is not a thing that we thought we would have to say, ever.
Ever, yeah. If you want information on that, the whole reason I brought this up was because Telltale recently brought it up, and I thought that it would be hilarious to cover, and plus I decided, I am trans, I am part of the community,
right,
and I would like to actually, bring light to the whole genocide that's currently going on, starting. Yeah, and people, whenever I say this, look at me like, the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, if you actually look into how genocides begin, this is how genocides begin.
Yeah.
This is literally how it started in Germany.
Yeah.
We're only about
pretty much everyone. Yeah.
We're only about 30 years away.
If you look at Kosovo, if you look at the genocide that happened there in the late 90s,
yeah,
I mean, Slobodan Milosevic spent how many years building the genocide based on what you showed there, based on those points, building it up until all of a sudden we're finding mass graves everywhere.
Yeah, the same thing happened in Armenia, to the Armenians. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing happened to Armenians. Same thing happened in Germany. Same thing happened in the Tutsi and the Tutsi
now,
and
luckily, 99% of genocides never get to the stage where people die.
Yeah. Exactly.
But just because it doesn't get to that stage doesn't mean that it's not a genocide.
Exactly.
As we saw with the children that Russia's kidnapping from Ukraine. I mean, Putin has an arrest warrant on him from the International Criminal Court. The fucking Hague put out an arrest warrant for Putin for this, for genocide.
Yep.
And it's not for killing people.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, that it doesn't have to be killing people to be genocide.
Yeah. And right now, the way the way they're being treated
this is
right
a
now,
step towards genocide.
Yeah.
God damn it! I still can't think of that word. Masking what you're saying. We'll just call it that. Masking what you're saying by calling it something else.
I can't think of the word either, honestly. I cannot think of the name of that fallacy. And I looked up.
It's not a fallacy. It's just a regular term that people use.
Okay.
But for the life of me, I can't figure it out. Someone probably said it in chat, but I'm a fucking moron that always forgets to look in chat. So
red herring? Is it a red herring?
I did see that. That's not the term that I'm thinking of, but that's a close enough term that you can use it there. But yeah, just disguising it as something else. Like I'm going to talk about how we have trans children, but I'm not going to call them trans children. I'm going to call them furries that poop in litter boxes.
Yeah.
And have real or imaginary tails that that someone might have sat on. God damn it! It keeps getting like right on the tip of my tongue too.
I hate when that happens.
Like code wording.
They're speaking in code.
I was about to say it, but then my brain went to code wording.
Coded language. Coded language.
Yeah, coded language. Yeah, I'll think of the exact term that I was trying to use.
Dog whistle. Dog whistle.
Yeah, dog whistle works too.
That's another thing they're doing. It's just a giant dog whistle that lets them know, oh hey, we're with you, QAnon. And don't anybody clip that, please.
It's funny how we have like 10 different terms for the same fucking thing here. And it's still not the one that I'm thinking of.
Well, anyway, y'all have a great night. We will see y'all next time.
Good night, everyone.